How should fans feel about this Alex Smith trade? Interesting move.
If I was a Washington fan, I would think, why? Why is my franchise going to ruin this otherwise smart move? It's smart to take a guy like Kirk Cousins and say, no, we're not going to franchise tag you again to the tune of $35 million, when for twice that money in guaranteed money, we can get the same thing as you, basically. Alex Smith, now look, we heard a lot of sound about how Alex Smith, has had his best season of his career. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the league last year. But as the season went on, you could see he was not a guy who was going to put you over the top. And he had not only Kareem Hunt and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, but actually a more intact line than he's going to have in Washington now. I mean, Washington, I believe, last year at a certain point in the middle of the season, didn't they have like 6 offensive linemen hurt? Only got 5 guys starting on the line. 6 of them were hurt. So that was in tatters. They don't have the same level skills position players as they do in Kansas City. And Alex Smith wasn't able to get it done in Kansas City. Is Kirk Cousins or Alex Smith? I don't know. It's about a lateral move, right? So for a lateral move, they save money. And if it was a good organization, that money would be diverted to other stuff you need. It would be spent wisely. But can you really trust the Washington franchise to spend that money wisely? Do their free agent signings generally work out? Is that the team where you're like, oh, good, we saved some money and now we're going to show them? And by the way, when you give up a third-round pick, which they had to do to get the deal done, what's a third-round pick? That's a good starting guard on your offensive line. It might be a defensive tackle that can do something. Maybe it's the quarterback you've been looking for that you don't have to spend your first-round pick on if you're not sure of any of the top guys. So in the hands of another team, the money saved that Washington just saved by acquiring Alex Smith would make the fans excited, or should. It'd say, aha, we have a smart franchise. But it's Washington, so you can rest assured they won't do the right thing with the savings. And so it's like kissing your cousin. They, in this case, kissing your cousins goodbye, and they got another Kirk Cousins in return.
Well, listen, here's the deal. It's an upgrade for the Washington Redskins in this regard, Max. The fact of the matter is Alex Smith has been to the playoffs the last 3 years. Now, obviously, that has a lot to do with the fact that Andy Reid is the coach. He knows what he's doing to some degree, obviously. This is a man that's accustomed to being in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. Whereas in the case of Jay Gruden, you've got a different kind of problem there. Kirk Cousins, with the roster that they had in place, with the departure of Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon, still threw for nearly 5,000 yards, had 25 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I mean, when you look at their offense in terms of passing, their passing attack was ranked, I think it was like number 2. Yards accumulated, rather, they were number 3 in the NFL. That's incredibly impressive, so you got to look at it from that perspective. But the Washington Redskins haven't been in the postseason. Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs were in the postseason. Alex Smith was behind center when that kind of stuff transpired, and so you got to give credit where credit is due. He's cheaper. He's got playoff experience. Kirk Cousins is getting paid a boatload of money, nearly $50 million over the last 2 years alone, because he was franchise tagged in back-to-back years, but he couldn't even get them to the playoffs. Now, if you are of the thinking that Kirk Cousins, it wasn't his fault, it was the fault of the organization, it was the fault of Jay Gruden, then you're looking at it and saying to yourself, okay, did you really need to get rid of Kirk Cousins? I would say yes, simply because guess what? It's an upgrade because you're getting somebody that went to the playoffs who doesn't turn the football over nearly as much as Kirk Cousins does. So it gives your offense a boatload of opportunities because they're not hurting themselves by turning over the football, even though Kirk Cousins only threw 12 interceptions. Alex Smith only threw 5 all year long. But the flip side to it, again, is the fact that Kirk Cousins is willing to be a gunslinger. He will fling the football. You have to give credit where credit is due in that regard. I would say it's really, really tough. It's 6, what's it called? 6 here, a half dozen of the other. You got to look at it. It's a close call. But to me, it's just a wash because clearly the Redskins are just saving money more than anything else. Alex Smith, to me, is a game manager. He's not a game changer. But Kirk Cousins, again, cost a lot of money for a dude that can't even get you to the playoffs. And maybe it's not his fault. Maybe we need to be looking at Jay Gruden. Maybe there doesn't need to be 2 Grudens coaching in the National Football League in a head coach. And nobody's going to sit up there and say John Gruden doesn't deserve to be a head coaching job. But Jay Gruden, that's a discussion that's worth having, no question about it. But if you're the Washington Redskins, I'm not franchise tagging again Kirk Cousins and paying Kirk Cousins all that money. I can miss the playoffs by paying somebody considerably less than I would have had to pay him.